there were ever times where you would deliberately take longer during the errands that Amberlynn would send you on just so that you could have more time away from her?
Absolutely, yes, I would. I did it every single time, every chance I got. That's also what I would do in the bathroom a lot. I would pretend to be using the bathroom for a long time, but I would really just be in there having my peace. One thing that took up a lot of time was this game that she would force me to play. Time is she would set a timer for 45 minutes to an hour usually, and she would have me sit behind her and pretend to pick lint off of her back because she liked the way it felt and sounded because of ASMR.
No?
She would have me do this for so long that my arms and stuff would hurt. And whenever I would want to stop, she would sigh and just be like, well, I'm going to pause the timer. So she would pause the timer for my little break, and then I'd have to immediately go back to it, and she would unpause the timer again. Sometimes I would catch her not unpausing the timer because she would want me to do it for longer.
Amberlynn did not shower.
Hello, my favorite girly pops. In today's video, we're talking about Beck's new video where they did a Q&A answering questions that, oh lordy, it's Jordy's community asked them. Okay, I will link Beck's entire video down below. Please go and watch it and subscribe to Beck. And I will also, of course, link Jordy's video down below. Go and watch his video and definitely subscribe to him. So basically, Beck describes living in really like horrible, poor conditions with Amber, meaning that they had to do a lot of just ridiculous things for Amber and some serious things for Amber. And as you already may know, they tried to get away from Amber all the time, just living in a terrible situation, being in a horrible one-sided relationship. And all I can say is I'm really, really, really glad that Beck is finding their voice to speak out and most importantly, got away from Amber. So as the video goes on, I could not include a lot of Jordy's talking because Jordy used the video of Amber in the background, and I do not use Amber's clips. And Beck talks in this video how Amberlynn tried to take a lot of reactions channels down, and this is why I don't use her clips. But please go and watch Jordy's entire video as well as Beck's. All right, so you know what could ease the tension here and the mood? A Kermit. Have you ever wanted to purchase a Kermit? My Kermits watched this video and they were like, is this for real? Amberlynn, Hans Christian Amberlynn, did you do this to Beck? So my Kermits are always interested in all the information. Have you ever wanted to purchase a Kermit? Well, now you can. In my game show host voice, this is my Kermit affiliate link. If you would like to purchase a Kermit and you do so, please let me know when he ships so I can be excited for you. As always, everything I'm saying is just for entertainment purposes only. Please don't take anything I say seriously. I'm sharing my own opinions, not facts, based on publicly accessible information first made public by public figures. Please don't go to these people's channels. Please don't leave them mean-spirited, negative, disparaging comments. Don't leave them mean comments, but please feel free to leave me a disparaging Kermit in the comment section. Okay, so the first question was, what does Amberlynn do with all of her time? Because we all know that a lot of us do wonder, like, what do you do all day, right? The answer is even worse than you think.
This is something that you guys probably already know about her, but it depends on what she's into in the moment. Like, it could be reading and being on her computer for hours upon hours at a time. She would have so many tabs open, and it would just be like YouTube, shopping. She would have her personal journal that she would write in open. I don't know. Sometimes I didn't even know because I didn't even really see a lot of her computer or her phone. She was also on her phone, but I was aware of the many different tabs that she was on, because another thing with Amber was no matter what she was doing or what we were doing, she could only handle it for so long, and then she would have to switch to something else. So if we were watching a movie or a TV show or something, we could only watch so much of it, and then she would pause it, and we'd have to do something else for a little while before we come back to it. She also was really into puzzles and Legos and journaling, and one thing that took up a lot of time was this game that she would force me to play called Choosy, where she would take a bunch of like thousands of stickers, like she bought bulk stickers, and had me pick between them all the way down until I picked one single sticker to be the best sticker of all. And she made me do this with buttons and earrings, calendar pages. She would buy a bunch of small calendars and tear the pages out and then have me pick between the pictures down to which one I liked the most. And Croc Charms. She would make me play choosy between Croc Charms. And she didn't even own a pair of Crocs. She just had thousands of Croc Charms for no reason. And sometimes, because there was so many, like with stickers and earrings, it would take hours and sometimes even days to completely get down to just one.
How manipulative and controlling and sad and scary. She forced Beck to do it. Beck didn't want to do it. Forced Beck to do it. Also, Amberlynn, there goes your ridiculous lies that you clean the house all day, that you're so productive. You never clean the house all day. I don't care that Amberlynn's ridiculous new video where she pretends to clean some whatever, where she has all her like trinkets. Amber, we all know that you play games all day and do nothing all day, which honestly, I don't care about because that's the kind of life she has. Why would you force another human being to do things they didn't want to do? But wait, it gets worse.
And another thing that would take up a lot of time is she would set a timer for 45 minutes to an hour usually. And she would have me sit behind her and pretend to pick lint off of her back because she liked the way it felt and sounded because of ASMR. And she would have me do this for so long that my arms and stuff would hurt. And whenever I would want to stop, she would sigh and just be like, well, I'm going to pause the timer. So she would pause the timer for my little break. And then I'd have to immediately go back to it. And she would unpause the timer again. Sometimes I would catch her not unpausing the timer because she would want me to do it for longer.
Well, you know, our girl was always diagnosed with ASMR. I'm just kidding. Look, honestly, this is mistreatment, and I want to use a different word that starts with the letter A at its finest. How dare you, Amber? How dare you set timers for anyone? Besides being controlling and manipulative, Amberlynn recently lied and said that she didn't set timers for Beck in her members only live stream, when in reality she did. And she's already admitted to this, but forgot. I think it is outrageously just ridiculous to force people to play games and force people to go ahead and pretend to pick lint. I don't even know. Amber, you don't have ASMR, okay? You have Kermit no life disease. That's all I have to say. Like, what kind of a life did you have that you forced your partner to do this? By the way, the point of the whole story here, in my opinion, is that everything that people thought was true was true. Her audience is always right, Amber's. And what's worse is that it was always worse than what people thought. Like, I thought she did nothing all day but play games. I didn't know that she forced her partner to do things her partner didn't want to do at that time, per se, because I just didn't know that Amber was that outrageously mean to force people to do those things. I knew that it looked like she was forcing Beck to drive her around and do stuff like that. But to even like force people to play games when they didn't want to, Amber, this is like not even what, like, I don't even feel that toddlers do this, because toddlers and children have friends that they don't have to force. Like, yeah, you were real busy during the day, real busy. It gets so much more worse. But the point of the story is that Amber always lied. She lies now what she does during the day. I am in full belief, I fully believe, from my remembrance, as Amberlynn would say, that if Amber had like a live-in partner now, she would force that partner to do ridiculous things. Maybe that's why wifey left you, because she didn't want to be forced to do things like you forced Beck. Terrible, manipulative, controlling, and flat out wrong. And Amber will probably deny the whole thing or not answer it. Um, just terrible. I just really feel for Beck. The things that they had to endure is just absolutely terrible. And this isn't even it. This is like the tip of the Kermit. Like, at the end of the day, things get so much worse. Okay, the next question was, when did you know that your relationship with Amber went from bad to worse?
In the beginning, things were all right, but there were some signs of her being controlling then. It got worse whenever we moved in together, and then even worse whenever I quit my job and started taking care of her and quote unquote working for her full time. So I feel like that was when I definitely felt like I was too deep in to leave. No, at that time I was heavily medicated and I should not have been on the road, and I put myself in danger and other people in danger, and I wish I could go back and tell myself it wasn't worth it to take those risks.
For those of you that don't know, we have discussed this many times before. Beck did not want to be in any relationship. Amberlynn forced, pretty much, there's nothing else I could say. She forced Beck into a relationship. She forced her way into Beck's house because she couldn't be by herself. As you remember, there was a bed in Amber's house when Destiny left that was covered in animal waste and all that stuff. Good going, Amby. I personally feel that Amber didn't want to at that moment take care of herself. Not that she couldn't take care of herself. This will, come up again in this video. And I just think that, well, I mean, like Beck has said years and years ago, even I believe like when they were with Amber or like just broken up or something like that, that like pretty much, yeah, when they were with Amber, they did say they never wanted a relationship. As far as the driving when they were in renal failure because Amber forced them to and demanded to be taken to Walmart and Target, what is there to say? Amberlynn Reid only cares about herself. It's still this way. And, it's unfortunate. One of the things that Beck says in this video, it's unfortunate that, at the time, Beck felt that they were trapped and they couldn't do anything about it. But, I want you to think about this. Sometimes in bad situations, we feel that we have no power. We feel that, like, we don't have anything that we could actually do for ourselves. And later on, we find out that that wasn't true. But I feel like people only do the best that they can at the moment with what they know and how they feel at the time. You know what I mean? I think this is one of these situations. Being in a narcissistic relationship where the other person is, like mistreating you, and that's a nice word for it, is very difficult. And I feel like, people judge all the time, but you never know how you're going to react when, somebody financially controls you, sets timers. So let's continue. I think Beck did the best that they could.
I'm aware that I should not have been on the road during that time. But from what I remember, I didn't really feel like I was making a conscious decision. I just knew that I felt bad, but I wasn't sure what was causing it at the time. I was afraid to leave, but I was being pressured to take care of others, specifically Amber's needs. Even though I know now that I had a choice, at the time I felt like I didn't, and I will always regret that.
Amber made them do it. Amber is to blame for 90% of the situation. I feel like obviously everybody has choices, but like I said, does everybody feel like they have a choice at the time? And hindsight is 2020. At some point, people realize, hey, I had better choices. I could have done this or that. But I think Beck did the best that they could, as I said. All right, the next question is about the mattress on the floor that Amberlynn would sit on while she was living with Eric and Ricky and Beck.
It was over a period of, I want to say, about 2 years. Whenever she would want to hang out in the living room, I would have to drag the mattress out. And when we were done hanging out, I would have to drag it back into the spare bedroom. It wasn't the bed that we slept on. It was my bed from before we were together, and it stayed in the spare bedroom. So it didn't stay in there all the time, but I did drag it back and forth for many days over the course of a few years. But it was all Amber's idea, and it was because
Amberlynn did not shower.
She would get uncomfortable sitting on the couch because her ankles would swell, and it would just be more comfortable for her to be able to stretch her legs out. And there were also other reasons that I won't disclose.
The reason that Beck won't disclose, basically, Amberlynn, instead of seeing the proper doctors for the condition that she had at the time, she was just doing that and sitting on the mattress doing, that. Amber, you should have seen a doctor instead of blaming Beck for you being ill. Okay, the idea that Beck had to drag the mattress around is ridiculous. Beck was just basically even not hired help at this point because Beck wasn't even really hired. Beck wasn't earning money, and Amber was just in full financial control, just paying the bills, and that's it. It's just terrible. It's terrible, the things that, happened to Beck. I really feel for them to this day still. The next question is all about, did Destiny kind of tell you, Beck, that, certain things about Amber and good old Destiny. Where is Destiny?
No, she never really like nudged me or tried to get me to do that or anything, but there were plenty of times where she would look at me and be like, I don't know how you put up with her. And they would also bicker and argue a lot when they would be around each other. It was just how their dynamic was too.
Who Annie Doran is.
So this is a question that I've wanted to address for a while, but I wasn't sure how to approach it. I do see her comments here and there, and it does make me uncomfortable to see her still talking about my mom. So Anne got a hold of my mom because my mom was selling wreaths that she made, and she asked Amber to advertise them on YouTube, and she did. So Anne got a hold of my mom and bought a wreath from her, and she just continued to talk to my mom after that as if she wanted to be friends with her. And my mom thought she really wanted to be friends, but the more she talked to her, the more my mom realized that Anne was only in for it for Amber. She was obsessed with Amber and she wanted to know everything about Amber. And because my mom and Amber weren't getting along at that point, my mom did say some things to Anne about Amber, which you guys had seen in that screenshot with those voice notes. But there were times that she would say negative things about me to my mom, and it felt like she was trying to come between me and my mom. And I don't mean things that were brought up on YouTube. I mean, there were random things that were just blatant lies. She lied a lot. And as for the things that I know she has said, the story about her being stuck in the shower and the fire department having to be called didn't happen. I don't know where she would have gotten that story. I know my mom definitely didn't say that. And as for Amber weighing 700 pounds, that also isn't true that I know of. The most that I was aware of her weighing was like 570 or 80 something. And after that, she just stopped weighing herself around me. So I really have no idea how much she ended up weighing, but I don't think it was 700 pounds, and I don't know where she would have got that information from.
All right, the next question is about Amber's lies.
Yeah, there were times whenever she would show in a what I ate in a day video, she wouldn't exactly show everything that she ate. She would just show you guys what she thought was acceptable for you guys to see, and then just not even talk about the other things that she would eat. So I was just always shocked that she really thought people would believe that. And I think you guys already know this, but there were many days that she would film lots of videos in one day, and she would switch her outfits to make it more convincing that it was different days. And she would also ask me to change my outfits to make it more convincing for those videos.
Okay, so in my opinion, all of this can be summed up in one sentence. Amberlynn thinks she is the smartest girl in the room. She always believes she's smarter than her audience, Amber. So now that Beck has exposed you for something that everybody already knew, both of these things that Beck said, everybody, I think, kind of figured. Amber does some of these things to this day. Well, she does both of these things to this day, in my opinion. At the end of the day, while I'm not going to comment on certain things, Amberlynn, do you understand that your audience is intelligent and they know all your ways? That's why you get so much support on TikTok, because they have no idea who you are. At the end of the day, Amber will continue to believe that she is smarter than her audience and deceives her audience, and that's why she has a bad relationship with her audience.
There were ever times where you would deliberately take longer during the errands that Amberlynn would send you on just so that you could have more time away from her?
Absolutely, yes, I would. I did it every single time, every chance I got. That's also what I would do in the bathroom a lot. I would pretend to be using the bathroom for a long time, but I would really just be in there having my peace.
They were never into you, Amber. I think that they liked you in the beginning, but once you showed the type of person that you were, they were not interested in you ever again. Like, I'm sorry, but Amberlynn continuously lied about her relationship with Beck for a very, very, very long time. And if there was ever a litmus test or anyone ever drew a line where like a bad relationship started and will end, it's spending more time away from your partner because you can't stand to be with them, even pretending you're using the bathroom for a longer time. I mean, I can't even blame Beck They weren't just a caretaker, they were mistreated. They didn't even have their own life because Amber demanded all this help from them. Who were they to you? In losing Beck, you lost the bestest friend, the best friend that you could have ever had. You will never again, in my opinion, ever have anyone as amazing and great as Beck in your life who sacrificed so much for you. It's just terrible the way you treated them. The next question is lovely. Did Eric and Ricky help take care of Amber? I think we all know the answer.
It was definitely the latter. They were just basically like, well, it's your girlfriend, your responsibility. You really shouldn't have to be doing these things anyway. But of course, they weren't going to help, but understandably, and they should not have had to.
Okay, then there is a question about food aggression. There's a very famous moment where Amberlynn came up to Beck, said, "What cereal is that? What cereal you're eating?" And I think it was like on Eric's vlog. So here's what Beck has to say about that.
I think we had recently discussed dieting and counting calories, and it was cereal that we had already had, and I didn't want it to go to waste, but I think it's because she was upset at the fact that we had talked about eating healthy and I was eating the Cocoa Puffs. But we all know that the diet was going to be over in a few hours anyway, because that's just how she was. So usually I would have been trying to take the diet seriously, but that day I just knew the diet wouldn't last and I ate the Cocoa Puffs. As for the food aggression, I feel like she did have some food aggression, but I don't really have any specific examples because I feel like I was spared from that because we had very different tastes in food and I just never really wanted to try what she had.
The next question is about actually like Amber and Beck's engagement rings. If you remember, it was a giant drama because Amberlynn kept lying about her ring size, which I wouldn't have cared about her ring size and still don't. I felt it was ridiculous to continuously deceive your audience. And I think there was like one of her fans or somebody bought the rings eventually from Ambi. It was an exciting time to be alive. Here's what Beck said about it.
So I did try to sell them on a Facebook marketplace, but no one wanted them. So Amber did catch wind of it and she wanted them back. I don't know what she wanted them back for. I guess maybe to try to sell herself, but I don't know. I ended up giving her one of them back and I lost the other one by the time I'd gotten the other one to her. Yes, there are some things that I do keep to myself just because they are embarrassing and wouldn't be very kind to share with the world. And though Amber has called me a liar and money hungry and has tried to embarrass me, my goal has never been to do those things to her. I only wanted to tell my story and to help her see that she needs to take some accountability.
And that's really the truth, that Amberlynn will never take accountability. She never, never, never will. She did call Beck a liar. She said that Beck is doing this for money. She said, "I'm sorry," behind a paywall. I'm sorry. She said something along the lines of in her members only live stream, Amber did. I'm paraphrasing, but something like, "I'm sorry that, 4 or 5 years ago, I did something to a person that's making them want to like expose me now for money." That's what she meant. And that's like a really condescending statement. The reality is, Amber, here's my message to you. If you ever want to rage again, go ahead. But just remember that Beck has a lot on you. And when you say that you have a lot on Beck, no one cares, in Eric's voice, and you don't. Uh, Amberlynn hasn't figured out that the problem is that people don't care about tea and drama about others. People care about you. What I feel like the satisfaction of the audience is twofold here. Number one, Beck is telling their story and finally being able to feel strong enough to speak up. This isn't about Beck exposing Amber or, spilling tea per se. It is them telling their story. They went through a horrific, terrible relationship situation where they were mercilessly financially controlled and clearly controlled in other ways, like the story that they tell about the fake lint picking and the timers is ABU. You get the point of the word, right? So the thing is that they are allowed to finally speak up, and it took them such a long time to speak up. That's why we know it's not for money. First of all, who cares if they make money? You stole their money, okay? You didn't give them money from the live streams. This will be discussed in a few minutes. But the point of the story is that it's not tea, it's them trying to heal by talking about what happened to them. The second satisfaction of the audience is getting the satisfaction of finding out that they were right. Every single thing the audience thought about you was right, and it's even way worse than they thought. So Amber, this is my advice to you, other than go to therapy and apologize to Beck publicly. Change the way you treat people. She never will. She thinks she's done nothing wrong. Well, Ambi, go ahead and rage in your next live stream. So the next question is all about how did wifey treat Beck?
She was kind to my face, but I did find out later on from Eric and Ricky that she would talk about me behind my back. She didn't make it any easier or harder because I was already halfway out the door whenever she moved in.
The next question is about getting a 5150 something with Amber, or calling a crisis team to help Beck out with Amber.
So I did not realize that you could do something like that, but I think if that were to have happened, she just would have cut everybody off and came back not changing a thing.
I think that what is important to remember here is that in traumatic situations, how would you react? You know, sometimes people don't think of everything, and like Beck said, don't even think that you could do something like this. But I want everybody to remember, Amber was the one with all the money. And so then what would have happened then? Even if Amber, whatever had left, okay, it was financial manipulation and control. How would the bills be paid?
I was the one who eventually cleaned up the litter boxes. Some people may think that was the first sign to turn around and run, and I should have, but I felt bad for her. At the time, I thought she just needed help. And that was something that Amber could just physically not do, but that's not an excuse to put your animals through that. The bed was beyond saving, and Amber didn't know what to do with it, so she ended up just leaving it behind, which is unfair to the people who owned that apartment and had to dispose of it. The only other mattress that we had to get rid of was the one that we slept on for years, and we ended up burning it before we moved to Lexington.
I like to do to my beds. I just burn them all. Can you blame anybody for burning a bed? Okay, listen, here's the bottom line. Amberlynn decided to just leave that bed with the waste on there. The other bed that we're talking about, I believe, is like the one with the animal waste. Great, Ambi. What an amazing person you are. You're just such a nice person. So just left it for the next people. Honestly, I genuinely don't know how this woman hasn't been sued by building complexes, how she's not in jail for continuing lying about the FBI.
There were a lot of things that she couldn't do without me, so that's why my time away from her or with my family was very limited, because she would try to take care of things on her own, but then she would text me and make me feel bad for not being there to help her do the things that she couldn't do without me. So she would do her best to not do those things that she needed help with while I was gone.
Okay, my personal opinion is, besides Amber's guilt trips and controlling and manipulating and mistreating Beck, I think that Amberlynn was fully capable of doing all these things, because there's no way, in my opinion, wifey did them after Beck. Amber did Amber did those things herself. So why is it that when Beck was living there, she made Beck do it and she never asked wifey to do it? It's really because she knew she could get away with it with Beck and mistreat Beck.
So there were a lot of reaction channels that she couldn't stand. Like, she couldn't stand "Oh Lordy, it's Jordy." She couldn't stand Michael B. Petty. She completely got Kicking Geese taken down, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. She also completely had T and Charlie Gold. There were so many reaction channels that she just absolutely despised. And I don't know if she really paid for the information or anything, but I do know that she was obsessively watching you guys and just seething with rage.
This is just one of the reasons why I will not use Amber's clips. I know how vengeful she is, and I know that every single moment she's plotting to take down reaction channels. This is a great example of why I will not be using Amber's clips. I also wanted to say something about Kicking Geese, Justine. So years and years and years ago, when I was watching Kicking Geese, Justine, I was not making videos on Amber at all. And I definitely remember her having some kind of issue with YouTube where she wasn't like, there was some issue with monetization. And at the time, because I wasn't really looking into Amber that much, because I wasn't making videos on Amber, I was making totally different videos. I didn't think much of it, but now this is what I think. I'm sure that Amberlynn continuously reported Justine to get her taken down, which is really, really sad. I believe there were issues with the channel, you know, with other channels like that Beck mentioned, where I've been recently, listen to this, I've been recently going through Amber's older videos, just looking for certain things. And there is a Snapchat that I saw where she was just trashing CXNT, who was a channel that used to make videos a while ago about Amber. And I mean, Amber's whole thing is just to try to take people down and try to come for their jobs. She has extensively given copyright strikes to Apathetic Facts and Bottle, and she's gotten certain channels demonetized, in my opinion, like Sinatra says in the past. And she's reported a lot of channels who had to redo their entire channels. This is why my advice has always been, hey, don't use your clips. People do what they want. But at the end of the day, I don't know how many exes you need, like how many people that knew Amber at certain times to tell you that Amberlynn is obsessed with watching reaction channels. Destiny said it, Beck said it. So yeah, Amber, we know you're still watching without a Kermit.
There were times that we would get into arguments and she would be like, you can't leave this room, or don't you dare walk out on me. But the car thing only happened one time. There were multiple other times I would try to leave her, but she would emotionally manipulate me into staying. Yeah, I feel like every girlfriend she gets is a rebound for the previous one.
Just a shame that Beck didn't call the cops on Amber. I often feel that Amber has done so many things that are, well, in a mistreating way. I'm surprised she hasn't been arrested and in jail and sued. TikTok, Amberlynn, keep doing your thing. You will eventually be sued, I'm sure. My opinion is that, like, saying you cannot leave, like, all of these, like, controlling, manipulative, terrible, like, ways to mistreat a person, this is absolutely unacceptable. And I'm so glad that, you know, Beck left. It's just terrible what you do to your partners, Amber. And if you think that I believe you for 1 second that you only manipulated and caused harm in people's lives just once or twice with maybe Destiny and Beck, I don't believe you. This is why you keep finding yourself single, Amber. You treat everybody badly. Next question is about Chantal, Foodie Beauty. The question is, like, you know, are they real friends? Were they real friends? Did she talk negatively about Foodie Beauty? If people still don't understand that Foodie Beauty and Amberlynn are not real friends and they're only defending one another because they have nothing else to do on the internet, in my opinion, then come on now. I have a very large bridge of Kermits to sell you. At the end of the day, this is a joke. This whole thing is a joke with Chantal. Amber and Chantal are not friends, and as you will hear in a minute by Beck's answer, Amberlynn was never Chantal's really good friend. Because who is someone's friend and then talks badly about them all the time?
They were on again, off again friends. So, like, whenever they were friends, Amber really didn't care about her too much, didn't pay too much attention. But whenever they were arguing, Amber did talk bad about her like she does anybody else.
What a surprise. For the billionth time, Chantal and Amber were never friends. Chantal, did you hear that? Amberlynn would always, Foodie Beauty, Chantal, Everyday Miriam. I hope you heard that loud in Kermit. Basically, Amberlynn always talked negatively about you. The next question is lovely. Do you think that, you know, do you really believe that Amberlynn should be given a break for anything that she does? Is she right about certain things? You know, do people treat her unfairly?
No, I used to think that they were wrong, but definitely not now.
Really ridiculous that you left the apartment with $100 to your name knowing how well Amberlynn was doing.
She did make a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know about now, but when I was with her, she did not save it. She would spend it, and it would just be on whatever random things she wanted. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but it is ridiculous that I only had $100 to move out on because I didn't get any of the money from the live streams that I participated in. But I am just grateful to be out of that situation and in a better one now.
There you go. Amber did not save any of her money. She probably has not a lot of money saved. Currently, she spent all of her money on random stuff and never gave Beck the money that she owed them for the live streams. What a wild surprise. And of course, Amberlynn doesn't deserve a break on mistreating people. That's just obvious. I'm really glad that Beck is out of this terrible situation. As they said, go subscribe to Beck, go check out their video, go check out Jordy's video. Thank you all so very much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts, comments, and questions down below in the dislikes. This is a video that's popping up here on a similar topic. You may enjoy it. Go and check that out. Obviously, Amberlynn mistreated Beck, and there's nothing you can do, Amber, to stop Beck from really sharing her story with us. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.